Hello, my name is Darren Thomas. I'm the Director of Educational Research Techniques. In this video, I'm going to introduce how to work with the gradebook in Moodle. The gradebook can be very complicated for many people because of the incredible flexibility that comes with working with the gradebook in Moodle. There are many different ways that you can do things, and this makes it very difficult for people to make decisions on how to incorporate the use of the gradebook when they are teaching a course through using Moodle. So before I give you any further details, I want to show you our little objectives or our shopping list for today. So here are our two main objectives. We want to set up the weight calculations for the gradebook, and we also want to create 3 categories in the gradebook. The first one will be assignments, which will be worth 35% of the overall grade, test 40%, and projects for 25%. So let's go ahead and jump into Moodle now. So as you can see here, I'm already logged into my Moodle course. Of course, I'm logged in as the teacher, and I want to create my gradebook. So in order to do this, I need to scroll down a little bit, and then in the default Moodle settings, normally the gradebook setup button will be right here off to your right hand side. If you click on this, it'll take you to the next page. Alright, so now I am inside the actual page where I can set up my gradebook. Now, in order to make decisions, you need to know what you want to do first, which is why I showed you the objectives a few minutes ago. So my first objective was to set up the weight calculations. In order to do that, you have this little folder here. This folder right here is the name of the course. It's like the mother category. All categories go inside this mother category, which in my example is English 5000 experimental course. Whatever the name of your course is, that'll be the default name for this category. All categories, all assignments will feed into this folder, and they will influence the course total at the bottom. So as I mentioned, the first thing that I need to do is I need to set up my weight calculation. So I will do that by going over here. If I follow the folder across, and then I click on edit here, it'll say edit settings. Now I need to mention as I do this that there are a multitude of ways to set up your gradebook. And I'm just going to show you one way that I know that works for the people that I've trained and worked with in the past. So as you can see, I'm inside the English 5000 experimental course setup edit category page, if you will. Now, I need to change what we call the aggregation. Right now, and I don't really want to explain all the different aggregations, but right now it's set to natural. That means, basically it takes all the different categories, adds up the points, and calculates the score that way. That works, but some people need a slightly more sophisticated way of weighting and dealing with their assignments and categories as they try to assist students. So there are several other options here, and you can always click on the question mark to figure out what they are. The first option at the top is mean of grades. Basically, what Moodle will do is that it'll take each of the categories, calculate the mean, and that'll be the overall score. The other one is weighted mean of grades. That's when you can weight each category yourselves, depending on how you want to do it. And the last one is simple weighted mean of grades. Basically, what that means is that the more weight or the more points a particular category is worth, the more weight it'll have on the overall course grade. So when I'm dealing with teachers and when I'm trying to assist them, we normally do simple weighted means for the mother category. So that's what we're going to select here. Now, another practical thing is that you want normally, and again, there are people who have their own style, you want the maximum grade to be out of 100 points. The reason being is that, when we're doing grades, we normally think out of a percent. And so if you make your entire course worth 100 points, it's very easy to see what the percent is for the class because there's only 100 points possible for the entire course. Again, this is not the only way to do this. However, it is a very natural way that we're used to when we're communicating numbers is to think out of a per 100 or think out of percent. So we're going to leave this out of 100. But again, you can make it out of 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000, 200,000, it doesn't matter. But percent is very interpretable. And that is very important when dealing with numbers. People can understand something that is out of 100 points. but they really struggle to understand things that are out of 1,000 or out of 50 or out of 20, etc. So we are done with this, and we're going to click Save Changes. Now we're back to the original screen. All we did so far is we changed how our scores are calculated, and you can see right here Moodle indicates how they're calculated now, where it says simple weighted mean of grades. So far we've only dealt with the master category, or the mother category, if you will, which is English 5000 experimental course. And like I told you, this is just the name of the class. Now, if you remember from our objectives, we had 3 categories we wanted to create. An assignment category with 35%, or we could say 35 points. A test category worth 40%, or we could say 40 points. And a project category, which is worth 25%, or 25 points. Now, I also need to mention that how many categories you have, or even if you have categories, depends on how you set up your class and the requirements that your institution are for your particular goals and objectives. I am just showing you a very general way that this can be done, but it could be fine-tuned in so many different ways that we can never have enough videos to deal with all of the different options. So to make a category, and the purpose of categories, in case I forgot to mention, is you place assignments and activities inside the categories. Moodle calculates the score for the category, and then Moodle calculates the score for the entire course based on combining the different categories. All this is done automatically for you using statistics. Now, we're going to make our first category called assignments. So we're going to click here on assignments. And we're going to give the category a name. Again, if you see a red star, you must fill that in. Let me see here. How many points is assignments worth? 35. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. So I'll type assignments. I've already done that. Now, how you calculate the score inside the category is up to your choice. Normally when I deal with teachers, they take the mean. In other words, no matter how many points the assignment is worth, when the mean is calculated, they all have the same influence. That is mean of grades. I've already explained that to you. So we're going to leave it like that as mean of grades. And so then you have to scroll down, and we're going to use a value. We're not going to change the scales or text. We're not going to do that. But the entire category needs to be worth 35 points. 35 points. And again, if the entire category is worth 35 points and the entire class is only worth 100 points, I've already met my criteria to make sure that my assignments is worth 35% of the overall grade. That is the beauty of that. So this is why we are doing that. It's going to be worth 35 points because that'll be 35% of the entire course. And so then we scroll down, and then we're basically done. There's nothing else left that we need to do here. These other things, we can leave them blank. There are additional options for people who need more advanced. You can hide categories, you can lock them, etc. We don't need to deal with weight adjusted because we are weighting our category by making it out of 35 points out of the total 100 for the class. So I click Save. And I repeat this process to make my other 2 categories. Now, one thing I need to mention is, notice how the assignment category is indented. This means that it is under the mother of experimental course. One thing we're not going to deal with too much in this video is that you can have subcategories under categories. In other words, I could put additional categories under assignments. Those categories are calculated, loaded up into assignments, and then the results from assignments is loaded up into the mother category of English 5000 experimental course. Again, the complexity of Moodle is only limited by your imagination. But for the sake of simplicity, we will not have subcategories in this video. We will just have the regular mother category and the normal categories under that. So I'm going to make my next category. We're going to call it test. So I click add category. I call test. And again, I click on category total. In case you forgot, I want a test to be worth 40 points or 40% of the final grade. Everything else can be left blank. One thing you need to notice is that there's a section called parent category, and we want the parent to be English 5000 because that's the ultimate mother category. If I wanted, I could put it under assignments and make it a subcategory or a child of assignments, but I don't want that. So I click save here. And now we have 2 categories completed. The last category that we're going to make is the course called project. So we're going to click here on add category. We're going to call this project. We're going to choose mean of grade. Project, again, it needs to be worth 25 points. So it's 25% of the final grade. And of course, we want the parent category or the mother to be English 5000. That's what we want. Now, a few more things before we go. What I'm showing you here is, for those who have administrative privileges, you can probably tell that what I'm showing you here on the screen is not all of the different things that can be seen in the gradebook. For the purposes of simplicity, this is how we set up our grade, how we set up our categories that are shown in the different columns that are shown in our gradebook. We just show the max grade, and we just show how many points each category is worth. But again, there is much more that you can see. If the administrators who run your Moodle website have not played with the settings, you're probably seeing a lot more columns than what are being shown here. One other thing I want to mention is that if you add up these totals, 35 plus 40 plus 25, they come out to 100. So you always know how well your students are doing when you make the class out of 100 points. And when you make sure the different categories share that 100 points. It's very practical, but it is not the only way to do this. So I hope that you now understand how to set up and create categories in Moodle. In a future video, I will show you how to add graded items, how to add various assignments to the gradebook, and what the potential scores can look like when you use the gradebook in Moodle. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much for listening. Take care.